This is the EWN Podcast Network.
Ever wondered how you could turn your side hustle into a full-time gig and spend more time together?
Hi, I'm Vicki, a #1 best-selling author.
And I'm John, a retired Los Angeles police officer. Welcome to Dig the Well, where we help couples navigate the world of business.
We've been married for 35 years, and because we built a successful side business, John retired 9 years earlier than he originally planned from the Los Angeles Police Department after 25 years on the job. Now we spend more time together, and we want to help couples like you do the same.
Join us as we help you overcome common obstacles, and we show you how to make extra income without sacrificing family time.
Ready to dig deep and build your well? Let's get started. Happy 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, happy Independence Day.
Yay. And you all know we are a blue line family.
This one, baby.
So, of course, we have to have that. But guess what? I was born close to 4th of July on the 5th. And so I always think of these. I think of both. All right. Well, we hope you are having a great Thursday if you're listening to this when our podcast drops every Thursday. But if you're listening to it on 4th of July, driving to a barbecue, that's great too, or over the weekend. Yeah. But we're going to give you some tips. We are going to give you some tips. And so we wrote something out for you, and I am actually going to read it.
Yeah, it's not tips on barbecuing and all that other good stuff. It's tips on if you have a business, right?
Yeah.
Like ours, which is a business about people and relationships, and how best to work that into this weekend and make it just a really great holiday, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So if you're heading to a barbecue this weekend and thinking, ooh, I should talk about my business. Yes, but hold up. Hold up. Don't be the person doing a full product pitch over potato salad. Let's talk about how to grow your biz the right way by using a few golden rules from the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And actually, we had some fun. We dug out. You will not believe how old these books are.
Yeah, right.
You know, because this book has been out almost since the dawn of time. It feels
right.
like before my parents were even born.
Yeah, isn't that cool how things haven't changed though?
Yeah, exactly. So I've got, can you tell?
It's not even white.
I know.
The cover.
Yeah. First of all, it's not white. And wait till you see the pages. They're really yellowed. And look at all my highlights. Can you tell that I really do read this? But look at all the, what do you call these things? For those of you that can't see, they're like little tabs, little plastic stickies that, I can go to a certain section in the book. And then John has another newer, can you hold yours up over there? But it's definitely not the newest. Definitely not. That's probably 20 years old.
It's still all yellowed.
Yeah. And so there it is, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And also they have so many different versions. They have one for the teenager soul. They have, we actually had our kids read some of that when they were growing up. Mm-hmm. It's just an all around amazing human being book. I think it was originally meant for if you have a business, but it's great for just being a great human and like caring about other people. Yeah.
Because, even if you just worked a 9-to-5 job, you're a W-2 employee, you're just a cog in some corporate wheel, this book will still benefit you.
Yeah.
You're still going to learn great ways of how to interact with other people. And there's so much you can gain from just reading this book and kind of using some of the principles that Dale Carnegie talks about in what you do.
Yeah.
But if you have a business like ours and you're in like a direct sales business, this thing is just gold. And
any kind of sales. And it's funny, John, you don't know this, but I was on a Zoom yesterday morning, and one of the people on the Zoom asked a question, and it was about talking about her business her network. She had a networking group and talking about her networking group that she's in charge of when she's at another networking group from the front of the room. And we all in the chat were like, I talk about it, but it's very on the side. I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm never going to speak about it in the front of the room as if trying to grab the people from that networking group to come to mine. Never. And it was funny because she said, I'm so glad. And then the leader answered her question and basically said, if you do that, it could be misconstrued. And the woman was thanking everybody for their input, because she said that not that she wasn't raised well, but she missed a lot of taught social cues. And, I thought that really, today when I dug this out, I'm like, gosh, she needs to read this, and so that could be you too. Maybe you don't even have a business. You're thinking about it, but when you're in group settings or when you are meeting new people, you get stuck. You don't know the right things to say. You're yammering on and on about yourself, and you're realizing people are walking away from you. Right. That's a social cue. And if you're not picking up on that, you need to, because
read the room.
Yeah, you really have to read the room. So this book is phenomenal. So we're going to jump right in and chat about one, and we're going to talk about some quotes from the book as well. But really what I know I've learned, and you're the same, John, you're curious always about other people and what they do, and you're not hitting them with what we do right away. You're not salesy, talking about, oh yeah, I just came out with this new product, instead of getting to know them first. So that's really the first thing is, talk to someone about themselves is the quote from the book. Talk to someone about themselves and they'll listen for hours, right? You ask them about themselves. That was kind of the funny part of it. Talk to them about themselves, but it's you leading the conversation saying, hey, tell me what you do. Or, hey, what are you doing this summer? Or are the kids, when did the kids go back to school? Do you have any vacations planned? You're kind of leading the conversation so that they're talking about themselves. It's not you talking about you first. Yeah.
Think about it. People love to talk about themselves. And it's so funny because we know this principle, right? So when we're with a group of people and the people we don't know and we just meet them, I'm always doing that. And I know Vicky does too. And we're always asking about them. And we talk very little bit about ourselves because that's really not what we're interested in. We're interested in learning about other people. And it's funny that some of the most successful people that I've ever met do exactly the same thing. They have the same principle.
Yeah.
And I've been suckered in so many times that when we're in a setting and someone who's really successful, I find myself talking more about me than listening to them talking about themselves.
Yeah.
And I'll catch myself, and it's a ways into it, and I realize, oh my gosh, I've got like diarrhea of the mouth. I'm talking about me.
Yeah.
When my whole goal was to find more about them. And I realized, wow, you've actually figured out how to perfect this key ingredient in how to be successful. You're doing it. And obviously you've been doing it for many years because you're really successful. And it's weird because it's the most successful people that I know, they all do the same thing. They're more interested in other people than they are speaking of themselves.
Right. Exactly.
Which is really cool.
And you'll see also it is an art, because you will, and I've learned to do it now after I read this book, by the way, back in 95 was the first time I read it. It was when a friend of ours, actually, Debbie Ferraro, if you happen to be watching this, I feel really bad. I found your name in the book. So I think you originally gave this to me.
Or you stole it.
Yeah, no, I don't think I stole it. I know the Ferraros, Jim and Debbie, probably gave it to me. It was back in our Amway days. And so that was 1995, you guys. Holy cow. 30 years ago was the first time I read it. And so why I brought that up was I've started to perfect this part of the asking them all about themselves, because I bet you the guy, like you said, you get suckered in. he's asking about you, you're answering, and I'm sure that you turn it around
Mhm.
because we do, it's like, yeah, what do you do? And then they answer for a little bit. But what is amazing that you'll learn from the book too is that you answer and you're polite. Oh, I'm CEO of XYZ Corporation, he might say, right? But then it's immediately back to the person he's talking to. So I'm sure he was like, he told you what he did briefly. And then, yeah, so your kids, they are, one's a weightlifter, right? I'm sure, right? He put it all back to you because that's part of the art.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with a concept we call form.
Yeah.
And it's the art of asking the right questions and asking very good questions. And when someone asks you a question, you're not going to skirt the question. You're still going to answer it, but you're going to answer it very briefly. And the key is, and the trick is, you answer it in a way that's going to provoke interest, that's going to pique their interest, it's going to automatically lead to more questions. But instead, you turn it around and you keep control of it, right? You're going to ask a question. So when you think about control in a conversation, it goes back to like my training as a police officer. I worked as a detective for several years. And part of what we do in interrogations is we ask the questions, right? The suspect isn't asking us any questions because the person who's asking the questions is in control of the conversation. You want to keep control of the conversation. You want to ask meaningful questions of the person you're conversing with to get great answers from them, because it shows a couple of things. It shows one thing, that you're interested in them.
Right.
And that's important because that makes them feel important.
Right.
And you want them to feel important because hopefully you're genuinely interested in them. If you're not interested in them, you're in the wrong business.
Yeah.
Right. If you're in a direct sales business where it's about people and about helping people become better at whatever it is they do, but helping people become better people, if you're not interested in their answers, then you're clearly in the wrong business. Go find something else to do.
Yeah.
So you want to ask those questions, be interested, and be in control of the conversation.
Exactly. And it could be not even direct sales, right? If you have a coaching business, if you're a lawyer, if you want to get new clients as a bookkeeper, right? You've got to get out of your shell and be interested in others.
Think about it, just in anything, right? If you're a car salesman,
right?
Your client comes in, a customer comes in, you're going to ask them questions to find out what it is their needs are for an automobile. And then you're going to figure out ways that you can say, hey, I can solve these issues for you. Here's your solution. I have the vehicle for you at the right price and everything else. But first, you have to ask the questions. And then the most important part of it is you have to listen. Mm-hmm. You have to be a great listener.
Right. And we're going to get to that part. I wanted to throw this quote in because it went perfectly with what you said about being interested in other people. So the next quote that we remember so well from the book is, you can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in years and years. That's not part of the quote, but that you can in years and years trying to tell everybody how great you are. Seriously, or how great your company is, or how great a lawyer. We'll stick with lawyer and bookkeeper and all of that. So it's you're spot on that. I just want to make sure we got that quote in because it's a biggie. It's a biggie. And really the rule of thumb is keep the conversation 80% about them, 20% about you. And it might even be 90-10. It might be 90% about them, 10 about you, because that goes along with form too, where when you're piquing you're asking about them and they ask about you and you kind of pique their interest a little bit, that's, you're getting them curious, right? To keep almost following you around the barbecue. Wait, John, you got to tell me about what you're doing. You retired 9 years early. What, how did you do that? So, but I know you're really good at, I don't want to say stringing people along, but making them like infectiously curious.
Yeah, and sometimes it's kind of fun is when you've done it enough times, it's I don't know, I enjoy doing that because it really piques their interest to the point where they're almost like in a frenzy. They really want to know. And sometimes I've had people corner me and just say, okay, look, enough's enough. What exactly do you and Vicky do?
Yeah.
How do you guys afford what you guys can afford? What is it that you're doing?
Right.
You haven't told me yet.
You both stay home now. What are you doing?
Right. And that's where you want it to lead to, if that's what you're interested in, which obviously we all are. So I'm going to assume that most of the people watching this and listening to this podcast are in a direct sales business, and you're looking to try and sponsor as many people as you can. It may not be. It may be that you're just an entrepreneur and you're just trying to build your business, and that's fine. But even if you're just trying to build your business, you're trying to build a book of business, you're trying to build a bigger client base. So you're still trying to bring more people into your business. So it's a form of still recruiting and sponsoring people to become a part of your business, whether they're a client, a customer, or a partner in your business. And the thing is, you want them to be so curious about what it is you do that they're going to listen intently. Now, if you go and just start talking about what you do and just throw a pitch at them, most people put up a wall and they get defensive. And
they're going to run away. And they're going to run away.
I don't want to be sold on anything, but if I ask someone and I'm genuinely interested, because my curiosity has been piqued to the point where I have to know now what it is you do.
Right.
And that's happened to me with other people, that I'm so interested in what it is that they do, and they've never really said it.
Yeah.
That I really want to know.
Yeah.
And so now I'm listening, and I'm listening so intently. I'm listening, and it's sinking in. If you're throwing a pitch out there, people get pitched on stuff many, many times every single day.
Yeah.
You're going to get ignored. It's not going to work. And if someone's at like we're talking about, like a 4th of July barbecue, nobody wants to go to a 4th of July barbecue and get pitched on something, right?
At all.
But they're there just to have fun and celebrate our nation's independence and just have a good time. They just want to make friends and just learn about other people, just like you're doing. Mm-hmm. So that should be, I think, your goal is just to make as many friends. And that's been our goal everywhere we go, is just make friends. It's secondary if they join our business. It's great if they do. But even if they don't, what's the worst case scenario? We made a friend.
And we don't sometimes they don't join our business, but they want to coach them. Right. Coach them about their brick and mortar business, because we've been through that. And so, definitely. And I love that. And I know when you brought that up, that we do that everywhere we go, not just 4th of July, because I sometimes say to people, we're collecting friends all over the world. It's just a fun thing to say. And the other thing is, do not, in our humble opinion, don't bring your business cards. Don't even have it. I got this recently, John. I was at an event, and I guess you would expect to exchange business cards, but that's kind of going by the wayside. Instead, let's exchange numbers. Let's follow each other on social media. A lot of women do that. It's more that nowadays instead of that business card. But I had this digital business card kind of shoved down my throat, and I really didn't like it at all. She was like, well, I'll give you my digital business card. And I'm like, did I ask you for your business card? No. So anyway, definitely at any barbecue or fun event that you're going to, do not bring your business card. I mean, you could have it in the car, and actually, if they were like begging you, because that has happened, no, I really want your card. No. Are you sure you don't have any? Like that shows you're doing the right thing. Like you just said, like they're chasing you for it. So you could have it in the car, but don't bring it. Just exchange numbers, and can you do the thing that you do? Do the thing that's a song, I think, where let's have you hand it to me, because I want them to see, anyone who's watching. So John, I'll say, I'll pretend to be the prospect, and you're talking to me. And, even if I say, hey, it'd be fun to stay in touch, what do you do?
Yeah, I just tell them. And oftentimes people ask me for a business card, and I just tell them, I don't really carry business cards, because the other thing too is, when you hand someone a business card, you're basically telegraphing that, hey, I want your business. I want something from you. Right. Yeah. And again, people, I think for at least for me, I don't know if it's true with everyone, but when someone does that to me, the wall goes up, right? Yeah. I get really defensive. It's like, okay, now I get it. You're just trying to sell me whatever product or service you have. And that's not what, go ahead.
That's why you were talking to me. That's why my brain goes, that's why he was so interested in me. Yeah,
exactly. 100%. You weren't genuinely interested in me and my family and what I do and everything else about my life. Yeah. All you cared about was trying to sell your solar, trying to sell your whatever
Yeah.
it is, right?
Yeah,
I
no,
don't mean to.
totally.
Yeah, I'm not trying to.
Nothing against solar.
No,
Yeah.
right,
But
exactly.
you know, there's just so many that are doing that. Exactly.
Right. So when someone says, "Hey, do you have a business card? We should keep in touch." I always just say, "No, you know what? I don't have a business card with me because I don't usually. I don't care.
You don't.
We do have business cards
Right.
because, like Vic was saying, there are times when business cards are appropriate and it's very professional and whatever, but it's rare. Right? I would say that by far, more often than not, business cards just are
a turn off.
Yeah, they're kind of old school cheesy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So John will actually, and I think he's about to do it.
Yeah, so I do is I just take my phone and I just say, you know what, why don't we just keep in touch? Let me, I can either text you or here, better yet, and I just go right to the contacts, add a contact, and I hand them my phone. Now, who doesn't know how to add their name and phone number?
And look what I'm doing.
In a phone, right? And then what I would tell Vicky while she's doing this, I say, you know what, don't hit the save on that because I don't want her to save that and then it gets lost in all my contacts, right?
Right.
Because I want to make sure I want to follow up with Vic soon.
So then
don't hit the save.
This is how easy it is, you guys. He hands it, and Gen Z and millennials know this to be true. If you're
even baby boomers can figure this out. If they can't, then good Lord.
But boomers right now, and maybe some Gen X are like, ugh, that feels uncomfortable. Get over it. Just start doing it. Just hand someone open to the contacts, like John says, and hand it to them. Right? Mm-hmm. Because they will just enter. You don't even have to say, enter your contact. They start doing it.
Yeah. Right. Because it's so funny because you just don't say a word. Just all I do is press contacts and then the plus symbol to add a new contact and it goes to that screen and I just hand them the phone. I don't have to say anything. There's no instructions needed. It's almost comical. Right. And then they're just thumbs of fury. They're just putting all their stuff in there.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll put more than just their name and their phone number. They'll start adding stuff in, like the company they work for and all this other stuff. It's like, you don't really need to do that. Yeah. But that's cool if you do.
And then they don't talk and they hand it right back.
So as soon as they hand it back to me, I hit screenshot and I screenshot that so that then I know, then I hit save.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, after I've talked to 3 or 4 or 5 people, I have the screenshots of all the people that I've talked to. So I know who I need to follow up with and talk to. And then also what I do is it also gives me a chance to, after I finish this conversation with Vicky and we leave and go our separate ways, I'll go back and open up her contact that I just saved because I have the screenshot. Let's say I have a really poor memory and I forget her name. I thought, oh yeah, what was her name again? I look back at my library, my picture library, right? The album, and I look back and there it is. There's a screenshot and there's her name. So then I look her up in the contacts. I find her contact and I go to the notes and I add in a bunch of notes. Like what all those things that I was asking Vicky that I was so interested in, right? What do you do for a living? How long have you and your husband been married? How many kids do you have? What do you guys do for vacation? So it's all that form. It's family, occupation, and recreation, all the things that are important. It's why people would want to join your business. Right. So the answer she gave me to those questions, I'll put those in there. Vicky, married 30, she married, well, most people haven't been married as long as we have. Let's say
20 years.
Married 20 years. Her husband's name is Joe. Joe. Should I be jealous? We know her husband's name is John. They have 2 kids. I put their kids' names and all that. I put all that stuff in the notes. So when I call or contact Vicky again later, I'll go over those notes and try and refresh my memory on those. Because let's face it, as much as we want to remember every detail about people, very few people can, right? And the ones that can, you guys have a superpower, right?
Right. That's for sure.
I don't have that superpower. So I'll go back through and look at that. And then when I contact Vicky again later, I can say, hey, why don't you and your husband, John, why don't we get together? By the way, how are your kids? And I'll mention them by name.
Yeah.
How do you think that's going to make you feel?
Great. I'll be like, he remembered our kid's name?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
kids' names. Yeah.
And it's not disingenuous, right? Because I do really care about Vicky and her family. And because we're trying to build this relationship and build these friends. So we want to know them.
Yeah.
And we are interested. It's just that my memory isn't so good that I remember everything about her life.
Definitely not. And we, with our business, start traveling the world with people and go on these trips. And we definitely want to get to know them very well, like them, all those things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's important. It's important. And so perfect segue into the listening. When you're headed down the listening trail and how important that is. Here's what Dale Carnegie talks about with being a good listener. Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. In fact, ditch the pitch, right? Listen for their struggles. And this is where you hear this a lot when you're talking to a business coach these days, but they say find a solution for people's problems and you'll have a customer for life. So you want to ask questions about their struggles. So maybe they're struggling with their health. Maybe they're struggling with their energy level. Maybe they don't have confidence. For us, it's perfect if they don't have confidence in their appearance, although they're generally not going to talk about that right off the bat unless it's a woman. Stress, finances, listen intently. And that's John's superpower, is listening and filing it away. You always talk about filing it away in your head so that you can put in the notes
right. Yeah.
when you get their contact.
And I'll tell you, the other key to that is as soon as you're done with that contact, go back and put those notes in, because it's in short-term memory.
Yeah.
And it won't last forever. It's kind of in flash memory. And if you don't put that in that contact information, if you wait a day, even if you wait a couple hours, you're probably not going to remember a lot of the detail that they told you, and the devil's in the detail, right? The detail matters because those are things that are important to them.
Right.
Like you were just saying, listen to their struggles, and they're going to tell you. If you let people speak long enough, they'll tell you everything you need to know. Think about, again, I'll go back to a police interrogation. If you ever watch these interrogations, they go on for hours. There are people I've interrogated, it's gone all night long, just constantly, it just goes on and on and on, because the longer you let them speak, the more info they're going to give up. And the same is true when you're talking to someone who's a prospect. The more they speak, they're going to tell you about their struggles. They're going to tell you about genuine things, right? The truth comes out.
Right.
I mean, if you can wait it out, the truth will come out, and they'll tell you what they're really struggling with. And if you can hear their struggles, and if you listen to what they're saying, you can come up with solutions for it if you can, hopefully.
Right.
And if you can, my gosh, what a godsend you are, because you're helping to solve some of their struggles, some of their stress, some of their issues. And that you're going to be like their savior, so to speak.
You know what I was just thinking, about people that we know that have different businesses. And this weekend, we're going to see a gentleman that has his own cabinet company. And his perfect question, or listening for the struggle, is maybe somebody who bought a new house and they love the new house, but they're struggling with the size of the kitchen or the way the kitchen's laid out. Like if you ask enough questions, whatever field you're in, he can find that out. And then he'd be able to say, I don't know if you know, but I'm the cabinet guy. You could always reach out,
So the great thing about it, though, is like you were just saying, so he's talking to them, and he's in order for him to find out that their cabinets are effed up is for him to ask the questions. Right?
Yeah.
So he's got to ask questions about their new place, about how are things going. And he knows that since he's a cabinet guy, he's got to ask questions about cabinetry. So he's somehow going to have to ask the questions about their cabinetry and then listen. And he listens to them, and they're going to say, the cabinets aren't deep enough. I can't fit plates. I can't do this. I can't do that. So he's thinking, okay.
Ding, ding,
I'm going to file that away. I've got an answer for that. And at the end of the conversation, he's got the solution to their issues. And he can even just say, hey, I know you guys probably don't know this, but that's what I do. I build custom cabinets.
Yeah.
And I think there's an easy solution to build to help you with your cabinets, to get you a couple inches of that extra room in those cabinets to fit your plates, to fit your pots and pans, to get what you need out of your current kitchen. That's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. How do you think the people that he was just talking to is going to respond to that? Like, nah, not interested. Thanks, buddy.
No, because it's definitely, they will be. Yeah.
They told them their problems. They don't even realize that he was actually drawing it out of them, right? They think that they just volunteered, just verbal vomited all their problems to him. But then he comes in as, I've got the solution, and it's not going to cost you much. I can figure this out. I've done this 100 times before.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. But you got to be asking the right questions that eventually lead to that.
And you got to listen.
Yeah.
You got to listen.
Yeah, exactly. And keep making it all about them. Yeah.
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 Right. Because people, again, you just want people to feel good about themselves. And what's wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
What's wrong with having people feel good? If they walk away, if you have this conversation over this 4th of July weekend, over at this barbecue, and you have a conversation with someone, and you're doing everything that we're saying, right? You're putting it all about them, and you're making them feel good, and you're not talking about yourself, but they show no interest in you, and they never ask you about what you're doing, and it goes nowhere. You guys go your separate ways. You go over to the smoker, they go over to the cooler and get another beer, whatever it is. You guys split. You guys don't even talk for the rest of the afternoon. What's the harm in it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You had a conversation with someone, another human being, and you actually made them feel good.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
It's a win.
Totally. And maybe the next time at the next barbecue, if it's family and you're going to see them again, it could go differently.
It could. But if it doesn't, it doesn't really matter. Right?
Yeah,
it's still a win. You still made someone feel good about themselves.
You're a great human being because of it. And I was going to ask that. I was thinking about, I wanted to ask the audience that question. Think about the last time that you were at an event and you walked away, event, barbecue, whatever, and you walked away really liking a person. You might have told your spouse, I really like that guy, Joe.
Here we go, Joe. Now I am jealous.
I have
Joe,
a friend who's
Joe, if you're listening, Joe, I'm coming for you.
But maybe it was Joe, and you're both kind of chatting. Yeah, he was a really nice guy. If you really dissect the whole conversation, he probably didn't. He wasn't a know-it-all. He didn't talk only about himself. He just listened to you. It's kind of funny how it works that way, but it's really true.
Yeah, it was funny. You were just saying about a know-it-all. So we were just day before yesterday, or whatever. We were at some. Anyways, we were somewhere, and we had met different people while we were at this place, and one of the couples we met, the guy was just an absolute know-it-all.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not going to get into the details of it.
I remember.
But it was funny because we were seated with a lot of other people, and everybody was getting along. Everything was going great until he started becoming the shell answer man. So I'm dating myself. Who knows who the shell answer man is?
Yeah, put it in the comments.
Yeah, put it in the comments if you know the shell answer man.
Shell answer man.
So this guy had the answer to everything. He knew it all. And all of a sudden, the entire demeanor of the entire group changed drastically.
It did.
People stopped talking
to each other. Yeah.
All they did was they got into little cliques.
Yeah.
So each couple only talked to themselves.
I know, that's true.
And there was another group that was more than a couple. It was kind of a familial group. And just that family.
Yeah.
And they only talked to themselves, and they completely left this guy out of it. And unfortunately, Vicky and I were just aced out of the whole thing too.
Further from everybody, closer to them.
The problem was it just shut the dynamic down of this group conversation. Everybody having a good time with Mr. Shell Answer Man.
And we liked the wife because the wife, guess what, was showing interest. We were showing interest in her. She was Japanese. So we were asking about her. She was asking about us.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So, and I'm not going to say where. I'm not going down that road and all that stuff. But yeah, exactly. And it was kind of crazy. We didn't even discuss this till now. But I noticed the whole dynamic of the table.
Yeah, there was like a chill came down across the whole thing. So don't be that guy, right? Don't be that shell answer guy, shell answer man, or the shell answer woman.
Yeah.
Even if you know the answer, if you know all the answers,
right?
Like just.
Yeah.
It's okay to be a little bit humble.
Yeah. And I my parents taught me that even, in a conversation, even if you know the answer, but the other person is giving the answer that, and you knew it too, never like, oh, I knew that. It's never one-upping anybody. And I even remember kind of watching my parents model this for me, where they would ask and be genuinely interested. And I knew my parents knew the answer to the question. I remember as a kid thinking, why did mom ask? And my mom's like a trivia expert, and she should have been on Jeopardy.
She would have smoked Jeopardy.
Yeah, she should have. And I remember her asking, something that she knew the answer to. And I was thinking to myself, why is mom asking that? But she just was trying to pull the other person out of their shell to talk about themselves. And I thought that was so unique and so amazing. And I don't even think my parents read the book, but
Yeah. So here's the thing with Vicky's mom and dad about that. I saw her mom do that many times where she knew the answer, and she would sometimes look over, and I look at her, and she would kind of look over and kind of wink, like, I know, I'm just trying to get everybody else involved, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And Vicky's dad was that guy. He would, I'm trying to think, he would always ask questions about people and their families, and it wasn't just like, a lot of people ask me about my family when I see them, like, oh, how's your mom? And then, do you have any siblings? Yeah, I have a sister. How's your sister? And this and that. But I know they're not probably really listening to the answers that I give, because the next time I see them, they'll ask me the same question.
Yeah.
Oh, so are your mom and dad still alive? Yeah, my dad died many years ago. My mom's still alive. Oh, do you have any brothers and sisters, or are you an only child? So I'm thinking, okay, you didn't really listen.
Yeah.
Vic's dad had this, that his superpower was he would listen and he would remember all these details about people. And he constantly would ask me questions about my sister. And when I would answer him the last time, I would tell him about what she's doing. And I would actually kind of almost forgotten about it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Then he would ask.
Yeah, he would. How's Carol?
He said, so how's whatever the thing she's working on? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's right. She is. I haven't even asked her about that. I have to get with her and ask her about that.
He did do that.
But he would do that. And then when he passed away a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, June 10th. I know the exact
22.
date. Yeah.
And then the thing was that we met so many people that had met him that we knew nothing about, right? So we've never seen this person, never even heard of this person. But everybody had the same thing to share about her dad.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it was hashtag be like Ken at the memorial, because they were saying, wow, he just made you feel like $1 million every time you were with him. Because he cared and asked about you. Yeah. So it's like proof. It's proof that this works.
It was everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah. And so my dad was a lot like that too. I remember my dad, when I would go visit him, and I think we talked about this before, I would go visit him, and he was an executive with the railroad, right? And he was never in his office. And I would go to see him. I'd drive over there and just go see him, maybe go to lunch with him or something. And his secretary was like, he's not here again. I'm like, I know. She was, I can tell you where he's at, though. He's in the maintenance facility, hanging out with the guys. And that was his thing. He just hung out with anyone. So I walk in there, sure enough, there he is. He's the only one in a suit. Everyone is in just greasy coveralls, just working on locomotives and whatnot. And he's playing poker with these guys. But that was him. And he could tell me about every one of them, about their personal life.
I love that. I really do. Yeah. So it's not always about business. It's about genuinely caring in other people. Yeah. Oh, I really love that. And because why I don't always talk about John's dad the way John is so sweet to remember my dad so affectionately, is that when I met John, his dad was not doing well. You know, he only had 6 months. He only lived 6 months longer after I met John. So I've just heard through you. So I love hearing the stories. I love it. And I wish
so he died of cancer, just in case anyone doesn't know.
Yeah. The damn C word, F cancer, right? You guys have all seen that. Yeah. And so we kind of just want to wrap it up about the 4th of July and remind you, decorate. Oh, I got out these cute things. If you're listening on Spotify or one of the others, you can't see it, but I hope you're all decorating. I still am going to decorate tomorrow and whatnot. I just love this time of year.
And love your country.
Yeah, absolutely. Be proud of the flag. Doesn't matter politically. Nobody should be thinking politics when it comes to waving the American flag. And
I've been
just please.
Yeah, I've been proud of this country and proud of our flag, regardless of who is in office, right? Regardless of the president and whatever administration it is, it's still the United States of America.
Yeah, the best country on the planet, right? Right.
Yeah, too many men and women have died.
Yeah, exactly, for all our freedoms. So freedom definitely isn't free. So we are honoring it this weekend. But just wanted to wrap it up. Yeah. With don't bring your business cards, bring your ears, your questions, and your heart. Be magnetic, be curious, and let the connections open the door to conversation. And finally, let's be real. People don't remember your pitch. They don't. In fact, they run away. Mm-hmm. They remember how you made them feel at the party. So go and be unforgettable.
For sure.
Yay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
So happy Independence Day.
Happy 4th of July. See you on the next one. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on Dig the Well.
We hope you feel empowered and ready to take on new challenges.
Remember, if we can do it, so can you. Keep learning, keep believing, and going after your dreams.
And if you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who needs a little inspiration or maybe a nudge in the right direction.
Help us grow this community of go-getters. Together, we can achieve greatness and get back to family.
Thanks for listening, and let's keep digging the well.